Yes, I am a stand-up comedian. I'm at Flappers, if anybody's in LA, tomorrow at 5 p.m. Go through. But it influenced this creative process entirely. I'm an actor first, and I was not confident in my writing at all whatsoever. And through 9 months of grilling my stand-up set and getting that feedback, I kind of altered that into what became the first draft of my film. So a lot of the jokes were borrowed entirely from my set, and it kind of put a nice bow on it, and now I've written new jokes, and we're taking a new direction and a new project coming through. So very much so, it gave me the confidence I needed to become a writer and to just venture out into this collaborative art of filmmaking.
All right, thank you. So the movie felt almost like a proof of concept. Do you envision one day making it a feature?
I would love to make What You Expect When You're Not Expecting a Feature. I've written a series pilot and a full pitch deck. I would love to be a series. My dream is to work multicam. I think that's unfortunately dying a little bit. But being in the writer's room for a sitcom that I star in would be goal. So that's kind of the direction that I wrote it in, but I also do have a feature spec and then an entirely other project in the works as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Adrian.
Yes, sir.
Right there. Your film is an important narrative in the urban African-American experience, and you wrote the screenplay. Where did the story come from?
So my film was Meal Ticket. It was filmed in the first block, showed in the first block, a short film. A lot of it from my experience, to be honest with you. So I grew up in the inner city in Topeka, Kansas, which is about an hour away from Kansas City. And so growing up playing basketball, played 4 years of college basketball. When I was writing the film, I was actually writing a different film, but I wanted to make something like soon. But the film I was writing was like a bigger production. So I was like, okay, what's something I could write quickly? I could shoot in one location in like one day. And just I came back to like write what you know. And so I know film, and I know like I'm really an advocate to tell black and brown stories in this industry. And so it really came down to like writing what I know, basketball, growing up in the inner city and how we used to play basketball at night, and then the story itself, it was originally like a father-son story, but it became a father-daughter story because the story actually came from my relationship with my goddaughter. Like I trained her, now she's at Ole Miss. At the end of the film, you see her, she's at Ole Miss. And so I was training her through like her high school years, and it just became natural, like, okay, why doesn't she just become the main character instead of like a father-son? And so that's where the story came from. It came from like a lot from my life. It's a dialogue, came from like my father telling me, he grew up, I grew up watching him go to construction and working hard, so kind of bits and pieces of all over. So that's kind of how it came together.
And you know what, I actually appreciate having it the female role, something like that.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed the film. How did you find two actors equal in the task of the performance and simultaneously evolving?
So me being a former basketball player, and I do a lot of sports. I do a lot of cinematography work in the sports industry. So I knew I had that in the bag, to be honest with you, to like, that's gonna look good, but I need to make it authentic. And so obviously like low-hanging fruit, my goddaughter, she freshman at Ole Miss playing basketball there. I worked with her on another short film that we did, so I knew that she could act a little bit, but I really made it heavy on the father's role. He's like an established actor in the Kansas City area. I've seen his work a lot, and it's somebody I wanted to work with. And so when I called him for the script, and I asked him if he wanted to work on it, he was like, I'm actually, grew up playing basketball. I actually wanted to do something like as a coach and a mentor. This is like perfect. So it kind of lined up perfectly. And so I wanted to work with him for a while. He wanted to work with me. And so the way I wrote it was like it's heavily on him with the dialogue. He brought to the script something I couldn't even write. Just the authenticity in his voice, his basketball, and like some of his ad-libs that he did really just brought the film together. So I was lucky to have people that could act and play, but also my goddaughter, who's a baller, just kind of like do her thing, and she didn't really have to act a lot. It was just like kind of me and her story, and so it just came natural.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Melissa, Can you speak to the theme of the women interacting with each other in your film, speaking, listening, advising, ignoring, etc.?
Yeah, that's true. In my film, the themes are based on technology and not having a face-to-face relationship with somebody to have a deep relationship with them. And we know, of course, that it can compromise a professional relationship if you have one with your clients. But they have a dialogue expressing their fear and talking about their desire for someone to make them feel comfortable. And the character Jill, she does poke fun at Audrey for not at least entertaining women. Little do we know, she really is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Your cinematography was excellent. Talk to us through how some of these shots and choices were arrived at.
Yeah, there's a lot of preparation in cinematography. Like many of us do as who are writers, we write what we know and where we know we can shoot. But I'm a great producer that got me the cutting room, so the cinematography, a lot of it was with Technocrane. I have a Technocrane experience, and so it helped me look at a space and see how I'm going to use it and express it with the acting and what it is I want to come across to the audience. So I really enjoyed working on that for this movie,
Thank you for that. Okay, so Noah, the next questions are for you. With the murders of Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd in our collective consciousness, how did you prepare for this role?
So, me being a young black male in America today, I feel like I face the same issues that GK faces in Neighborhood Alert a lot. But preparing for this role and with the Aman, Arbery, and Trayvon Martin and different things like that, we see this all the time. We see this everywhere, and I feel like everyone needs to know about these type of things. And I really want this for the whole world to really see, and I really want cops and police officers out there to know that please don't judge us for the race of our skin. And speaking on just the Aman, Arbery, we see these, but those are just 3 people that were named, and it's so many African American males out there that go through these things every day, and they're not talked about. And this is the main reason for Neighborhood Alert. We really want it to be heard. We really want people to know about what young black males and really black males of all ages go through. So that was it.
Thank you. Can you tell us what the director told you was the inspiration for the film?
So the inspiration for the film Neighborhood Alert, Ngozi, she's not here with us today, but her inspiration for the film was she had a friend that was going through these type of problems, her friend, and she had a son. And she wanted to kind of take the story, and she kind of added her a little bit of a twist to it, but it came out as a great story.
Excellent film. Thank you so much. Madet and Olya? This question is for Olya. You wrote the screenplay and both lead actors have the same last name, not a coincidence. Describe how you were able to so effectively convey fear brought on by someone that you're obviously very close to and comfortable with.
So I've been married to this man for 13 years. Do I know this person? I'm kidding. So it wasn't hard or even challenging because being an actor, you just try to remember how it is to be a child. And I have 2 boys, and I witness them playing every day. And they're warriors. There is war between Transformers or different kinds of Pikachu or something going on. And they don't even question how is it going to be believable because we grew up together and we're siblings and love each other and we're going to fight. So they don't even ask that question, right? Because it all comes from God, from imagination, and your brain is kind of turned off partially. So, and what I do, I just go into this child, being that's in everybody and in me, and I just go ahead with my imagination, and that person is not my husband of 13 years anymore, and it's not my kids.
Okay, and where did you get the idea for the twist?
Originally, every idea that we come up with is a product of brainstorming. So I come with an idea to my husband of something that I want to work on, and we start talking, and that idea just disappears because something else comes up. Because two geniuses come to understand that we need to create a trouble, we need to create a crisis, and to make the audience question and not always give them an answer, or maybe just a glimpse of her, answer, so that they can decide for themselves. So originally we were thinking about the full picture, and I think eventually we'll make it in a full picture film. So, and I will really show you how wacko this person can be. Yeah, but most of the time I think I am a creative person who puts the ideas that we have together, or most creative and crazy ideas come from my husband, and I just put them into writing. So, because he's the person that I don't know, he surprises me every day.
Okay, thank you for that. Very scary movie, by the way. Earl. Okay, I'm gonna reach over to Earl for a second. Speak to the need for an authentic depiction of the Filipino shamanism. Babylons and Catalonans and symbols like the butterflies in ancient Babayan, is that how? Babayan script in clips.
Yeah, that's such a deep question.
I know.
So, but it's very specific to the Philippine culture, as well as the diaspora specifically. I say that because a lot of us are disconnected to our culture because of colonialism, and so the reason why I wanted to depict more of an authentic shaman in this piece is because I believe that queerness and spirituality have an intersection, and a lot of us, right, like if we try to re-indigenize our cultures, like we are all indigenous at heart, and I think once we start to see that queerness and being two-spirit are both queer and spiritual, because a lot of us, like Gabriel in the film, go to these dark moments where we start to abuse drugs, alcohol, music, and get into these trance states. And I wanted to represent more of a natural trance state, such as the Babaylan or dancers, how they reach trances, because I was able to spend some time with Philippine shamans, and that's what that was how I was trying to honor it, like very in a small way. It's a really big question, but I think from the pre-production and from my own research, I really tried to stay authentic to that. But I think the best way to authentically dive into that is to have a documentary or to dive into the research yourself.
Absolutely, thanks for that answer. Can you describe the difficulty of directing yourself in those intense sex scene and the bathing scene?
Yeah, yeah. So I felt like as an actor and as a person, I've always been kind of sexually charged, and I had a lot of shame around it. But when I started to go to acting school, I started realizing that those were the scenes where I felt most natural and comfortable in. And so there's something really big now in the last decade. I think we have intimacy coordinators, and I think that is really important to have. And I think there is communication, consent, things like that were kind of natural for me to direct myself in, as well as Haven, who was the person who made my hookup. But definitely the tub scene, I was super comfortable with my DP there, and I have no problem with nudity and things like that. So it's a very professional space to be in.
Nice, thank you. And I think Diego, last one, but definitely not least. Do the various portions of the character's dreamscape have a truth or symbolic meaning to you as a storyteller?
So honestly, the story came from kind of like my own personal experience. I have this thing where after I just have a crazy dream, I write it down right after I wake up, and I just kind of put that into a little storyline where this writer very struggling to have ideas for any of his stories and plots, and sure enough, his influences are on him, his movies, his books, all the kind of pop culture around him influence his dreams when he wakes up, so he has ideas. But yeah, that's pretty much essentially what I had for the idea, which is a very simple personal experience that made into a story.
And so is that what compelled you to make this micro short?
So for the micro short, I did not expect to make it a micro short. My professor at first at my school, he made us limited to a 1 minute commercial. I was essentially going to have this be like a kind of like a melatonin ad where you get some sleep and you can probably have some ideas. Don't stay up too late. But my professor he gave me a lot of confidence in myself. He saw the idea and the passion, and he told me to continue to build the story out, and he'll give me the extension for the timeline of the film. And also, he liked that a lot of the dreams didn't have much context behind them, and it kind of left the audience to determine what those symbolic meanings are for themselves. So that's essentially it. Yeah.
It was definitely thought-provoking. Thank you everyone for sharing what you shared with us today. This was impactful in my life, I'm sure for others who are watching this, and even for you guys seeing it on the big screen, the hard work you put in. This is a wonderful experience. Thank you so much.